You're listening to How to 20-something, the best podcast that helps both men and women navigate their 20s and learn how to adult across all aspects of their lives. We're going to focus on career, relationships, finances, fitness, nutrition, and all of the common challenges and obstacles a typical 20-something will face in this post-college life. I'm your host, Jess Diamond, and I am the CEO and founder of Jess Diamond Coaching, where I help young professionals get their shit together, gain their confidence, and own their life. No one prepares you for this adulting world, so allow me to help you feel like you are no longer a chicken running around with its head cut off, and that you actually know what the hell is going on and what your next step to take is. Welcome to How to 20-something. Welcome back to another episode of How to 20-something, where today I'm going to help you be a good friend. This seems to be a reoccurring topic in my life and the lives of people around me lately, so I figured I would break it all down for you. Because we are all very aware as to how difficult it is to make friends in your 20s. People move, change jobs, get into and out of relationships, build other communities, all of which makes friendships a challenge to keep up with regularly. But what no one really breaks down for you is how you can be a good friend to others and continue to build a healthy friendship that will last. Like I said, this is something I've personally struggled with, but more so under the umbrella of being afraid I'm not a good friend. And it takes a lot of reminders when I'm feeling down about some of the close friendships I have made that haven't worked out well long term or aren't showing up in the way that I want them to be like, no, I am a good friend. And just because they're not showing up based off of my expectations doesn't mean they're not a good friend. They just might not be a good friend for me. I care about my friends. I pour into my friendships, and it's when I don't feel like my cup is being refilled that I suffer the mental hurdle of what did I do wrong? Is it me? Am I being a bad friend? Am I asking for too much, being too needy, or not doing enough for them? And I really have to take a step back and look at the patterns of this particular friendship, to which maybe I'll see that I've done all of the initiating and planning for our hangouts, that the other person only says yes when it's convenient for them, when it's something they want to do and in close proximity to them. I'll see that maybe I've initiated conversations about feeling out of the loop of their life or this friendship feeling one-sided or only out of convenience. I've proposed solutions like regular phone calls, more quality time, or the desire for more communication so I know where they're at. And then I've gone and initiated these phone calls or these plans, and it's when I'm getting denied over maybe a schedule conflict that I start to go down my other rabbit hole, that they're not a good friend, or even worse, that they don't want to be friends with me. And that's a reflection on me, when it's not. I know I'm a good friend. I know I care a lot about my friendships and am consistent in the level of care I put into them. And I know that a lot of people are just shitty at being friends. Everyone wants a village, but no one wants to be a villager. And within that, just shitty at communicating where they're at in their life and how it's going to impact the friendship at hand. So I want to make sure you don't fall under that category of being a shitty friend, with the hopes that you find your people who are also good at being a friend, just like how I work to achieve the same thing for myself. And that begins with that consistent and effective communication. Not in the way where you should be texting or calling one another regularly, but rather the words you are saying or aren't saying. I'll take initiating plans as an example, because this is something that really affects me. If someone goes to initiate plans with you, one, I need you to recognize that that takes guts to do, regardless of whether or not this is a new friendship. As a fellow introvert and someone with low rejection resilience and high social anxiety, anytime I ask someone for plans, I feel like I'm putting my heart on the line, and how someone responds directly affects how I think you feel about me and our friendship. It's something I'm actively working on, and it's something I know I'm not alone on. My social anxiety decreases when the relationship is more reciprocal. But if we are sporadically hanging out, you can guarantee that I'm anxious to ask if you're free to see me. It stems from a deeper level of embarrassment if they respond with being busy, then they'll know I have nothing going on in my own life. When I know that's not what they're thinking at all, my inner voice can convince me otherwise, and it's my responsibility to take care of my own thoughts. However, this does bring me to my second point, which is your response matters. If this is someone you do care about, and you do want to see but are unavailable or simply don't want to go, responding with, I can't, I'm busy, or I can't, I'm busy, but let's hang out sometime soon, are big no-nos. The underlying message you're sending, whether you intend to send this message or not, is I don't want to hang out with you. I don't prioritize you in my life. This is where I see so many of you go wrong. And then you're sad that you don't have friends. And it's because you simply haven't thought about how the other person could receive this text. AKA, you are being a bad friend for not thinking the effects your message has on this other person. Even if you don't mean to be rude or distant, because you actually do like this person and would like to hang out with them, but you can't make this particular occasion or you don't want to make this particular occasion. If that's the case, then you definitely need to practice responding with something along the lines of, I can't, I'm busy, but what are you doing next week? I'd love to see you. And you can fill in next week with tomorrow or next month or some other definitive time frame that does work for you, rather than saying sometime soon and leaving it ambiguous. Because that shows the other person that you are making the effort, that it's just this one thing you can't make, but you do really want to see them and you do value them as a friend. Even if you can't make plans for the next 2 months, which is bound to happen in adult friendships. You don't have to explain your whole life story as to why you can't make this particular event. That's not as important as initiating plans back because you can't make the one that was initiated to you. It's called reciprocity. Friendships fail when there is no reciprocity. Not in a way where you're keeping score of I initiated 3 times in the last month and they've initiated once. It's simply knowing when something feels one-sided, when there is no effort being put in by the other person at all, or maybe it's 1%, while making sure that you're not that other person either. Because being a good friend really isn't all that hard. You just need to wake up and get out of your own life for a second to think about this other person you allegedly care about. Because you're allowed to say no to things. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to hang out with other people or spend time by yourself. It's how you follow up with that no that determines whether you're being a good friend or not. It's a simple communication hack that could make or break your friendships. It's the clear difference between keeping a friendship healthy and strong versus weak and fragile, and is such an easy fix. The next way you can make sure you're being a good friend is by asking questions. Try to listen more than you speak. This is definitely something I tend to struggle with because I'd say more times than not, there's a lot going on in my life. I mean, I am a podcaster. I am a routine yapper. So one way for me to make sure I listen more is by listening first. I try to immediately start the conversation with a question about my friend's life. If my friend beats me to it, well, it shows they're also a good friend. But then I do sometimes forget to ask them questions afterwards, which is something I'm working on. And it's also making sure that you're not trying to fix anything or pass judgment, but just when you listen, you're giving your friend a place to be, to vent, to laugh, to cry, based on what they talk to you about. That could be letting a friend vent to you about their relationship, and all you hear are the shitty sides of who they're dating, while also letting them celebrate the happy moments without bringing up past issues that's been shared. So asking questions and listening to the answers, and then asking follow-up questions are all solid ways to being a good friend. Even following up with them via text or phone call or the next time you see them about the things that they've previously brought up. If you're someone who has a bad memory, then take notes. I'm being so serious. Make a note of the conversation you had with this friend so you can remember to ask them about it at a later date and provide details. Remembering things like names, dates, activities, instead of just saying, how was that thing you were working on last Tuesday? Versus, how was your presentation with Patricia last Tuesday? the details show you listen and you care and you actually want to know how it turned out. Another sign of being a good friend is showing up. I know I have friends that will show up when it really matters, which is definitely important. But I personally find that I need friendships for when they want to show up regardless of how good or bad my life is doing. Or show up even when they don't want to show up, but they want to show up for me. It's for those in-between mundane, run errands, do an activity, sit on the couch moments. Meaning I also want to be that friend for others. Because it's important to remember that whatever qualities you're searching for when deciding whether or not someone is a good friend means you should also be working to possess those exact same qualities. Maybe for you, the little moments don't matter. It's the big accomplishments or downfalls that matter, and you couldn't care less about the other times. For me, I know that's not the case. I'm actually someone who finds it easier to be there for friends when they are struggling, when they lose a job or are stressed about a situation or going through a breakup. And maybe those heavier moments don't come easy for you, like they do for me, and you need to work on providing a safe place for your friend to be down. But I think it's just as important to be there for the little everyday things, and it's something I definitely am trying to work on for myself. The thinking of you text, the good luck with your first day, the how was your date, the tinier moments that don't feel as important or you don't feel the need to check in with them because in your mind, they're doing well. It's depositing little tickets of love into their box. Because you never really know what someone is going through and what they need deep down and the support that they need by knowing they have someone in their corner. So it's both. Being a good friend is being there when you can. Again, taking your own capacity into consideration and then looping back to your communication skills. It's being able to communicate where you are at from a capacity standpoint. How you would love to be there for your friend, but you need to take care of X, Y, and Z first. Something I've been struggling with recently is realizing I have made friends with people who seem to pour into you at first. And then when they've deemed your friendship to be good and doesn't require the same level of care as before, they pull back and move on to someone else and do the same thing with them. Which is fine if that's how they operate in their friendships, but that's not a friendship I want to have around me because that's not the way I operate. And it actually feels like it hurts more to have you show up consistently for an entire year in one particular way and then suddenly drop off with no warning, explanation, or communication. The tougher part is that it's hard, if not nearly impossible, to predict with a friend unless you really dig into their other friendships in terms of longevity and frequency. Another sign you're a good friend is by being reliable. So it's showing up on time to set plans, it's staying true to your word, it's not being a flake for when you say you'll call, check in, or show up. Good friends never fully disappear. Good friends also notice when their friend wants to fully disappear or does fully disappear. It's how I knew I really didn't have good friends in my corner when I went through my friendship breakup back in 2023 and went into full hibernation, depression mode, and not a single person checked in on me. Wondered where I was, how I was doing, knowing I just lost my best friend of 8 years. He didn't die, we just broke up. To be loved is to be seen. And when you feel invisible, when you feel like you could pack up all of your belongings and move across the country and not a soul would notice you left, that sucks. That's when you feel the most alone. And it's also how you know what it means to be a good friend. Presence matters, even if it makes you uncomfortable to be present. Communication matters, even if it makes you uncomfortable to communicate. It takes 5 seconds to respond to someone and let them know you care about them, but you're dealing with your own shit right now. But we'll call this weekend when you have a little more downtime. You don't need to drain yourself to be there for your friends, but you do need to communicate where you are so they still feel seen and heard even without you being there for them in that moment. And if even that is too much for you to handle, then I'm going to be blunt here for a second and say you don't deserve friendships. You need to work on yourself first and then let other people into your life because friendships do require work and effort And the other person deserves to be respected in such a way. I don't think anyone is unworthy of good friendships, but I do think that you need help with your people skills and diving into how you relate to other people before you go out and try to meet more to potentially befriend. To have good friends is to be a good friend and to know what you're looking for in a friend. Is it someone who makes sure they're in town for your birthday? Is it someone who wishes you good luck before a big presentation? Is it someone who is cheering you on for your craziest dreams because they believe in you? Is it someone who lets you vent about anything and everything without passing judgment? Is it someone who randomly asks how your week is going? Is it someone who respects your boundaries, your social battery, and who remembers the little details of your life? Notice what you want from your friendships and how you're currently showing up in those same ways. That's what it means to be a good friend. Friendships are messy, complicated, and constantly changing. But being a good friend should remain just about the same through and through. So, if after listening to this episode, you've decided that you are a good friend, then that's great. If after listening to this episode, you've realized there are places for you to work on, then that's also great, and let's get to work. The world needs more good friends because Lord knows I would not be making this episode if I didn't come across my own shitty friendship moments. It's time to do better. And on that note, this does conclude another episode of How to 20-something. If you liked what you heard, if you realized you need to make better friends, that you need to be a better friend, or that you're filled with good friends and you are a good friend, then please share this episode to other people in their 20s, post it on your story, just do something to help me expand my reach and my audience so that I can help all of the 20-somethings navigating the most confusing decade of their life. And as always, I can't wait to be in your headphones again next week with another brand new episode.